Hi, this is Dr. Cisse covering anatomy and physiology. This is an introductory video that I want to present to you that you need to watch before the first day of class. Let's look at the questions I'm going to ask you. Why are you taking A&P? How is the course organized in your book? Whatever material you're using, did you check that book and see? I want you to understand the structural hierarchy of human body, know the 11 organ systems, know what is anatomical position, the three main body sections, the anatomical references, and in this video, I want to teach you the 50 basic anatomical terms you need to know before the first day of class. The 4 body cavities, the 4 quadrants, and the 9 abdominal pelvic regions. Now, before you know why you take anatomy and physiology, don't you want to know what it is first? Anatomy is the study of structure of the body, telling you how things look like. You know, when you see the liver, can you tell the difference between the liver and the kidney? Do you know where they're located? And physiology is how they work. How do they function? The unity of form and function is that the way things look like can predict how they work. Now, why are you taking A&P? If you're taking A&P because you're going to go to medical school or nursing school or something like that, you might just take it just for that. But if you take it just for you to know more about you, it'll be more exciting and interesting. Now, let's think about your book first. If you want to take A&P, make sure you buy a book, online book or paper book or something like that. Get a book. Open the book and see inside how does it look like, what are the chapters line up or something like that. Now, here I'm teaching A&P 1 this semester, and it has 16 chapters in the book that I'm using that I divided into 4 units. The first unit will be everything up to the cellular level. It means it's going to be the chemical level of organization, how you build cells and stuff. And the second unit will be everything about tissues. It'll be 4 different chapters. One of the chapters will be histology in general. Histology is the study of tissues. Then we'll talk about specific type of connective tissue, bone tissue, the muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. Then the next unit will be about organ systems. We're going to talk about 4 different organ systems in A&P 1. And then the last unit will be about a specific organ system, the nervous system, because it's a big system. We're going to have to cover it in detail. Now let's talk about the body structural hierarchy. How do you look at human body? How do you break down things into pieces? The first thing is that the whole organism is made of organ systems, and we have 11 organ systems. Each organ system is made of organs, right? For example, the liver is an organ, the heart is an organ, the brain is an organ, and every single organ is made of tissues. Now, different organ will have different tissues, different combination of tissues. And then when you look into the tissue under the microscope, or you take the tissue and break down into pieces, it'll be made of cells. And the cell, you can go inside the cell and open it and see the nucleus, the mitochondria, the Golgi apparatus, the different organelles, and the cell membrane. Now, if you take the organelles out and break down into pieces, they will be made of macromolecule that you can break to micromolecule, then to atoms. So which is the basic unit of matter. If you look at this picture, it tells you, for example, the atom comes together to form molecule, and then the molecule come together to form macromolecule, and then organelles, cells, tissues, organ system. We have 11 of them, and then the whole organism. Now, these are the 4 organ systems we're going to cover in A&P 1. Integumentary system, which is the skin, the hair, the nail, and the glands. The skeletal system made of the bones and the cartilage and then ligament. The muscular system, we're going to study about 600 something muscles. Those are skeletal muscle, the muscle we control. And then the nervous system, which is the brain, the spinal cord, the nerves, and then the ganglia. In A&P 2, if you pass A&P 1, A&P 2 will be the endocrine system, the circulatory system, the lymphatic system, the respiratory system, the urinary system, digestive system, and the male and female reproductive systems. Those are going to be A&P 2. Now, what is the anatomical position? In order for you to study human body, you need to kind of presume it's standing in some kind of position called anatomical. The subject is standing straight, you can see here, with the face forward, the legs slightly apart, and with the distance of the head or maybe the shoulder, and then the palm of the hand facing forward. And there are 3 different ways you can cut the human body to study it. The first one is called the frontal cut. So you cut from front to back. It's going to be a vertical cut, top to bottom, right? That cut will allow you to separate the body into anterior and posterior, or ventral or dorsal. Then the second cut, for example, if you cut, you're going to see the lung this way. The second cut is the sagittal. It is to divide the body into half, left and right, in the middle of the head, right? Through the nose and the heart in the middle of the mouth. That, if you divide the body, all the body parts are going to be on one side. We call their ipsilateral. For example, your right eye and your right ear are ipsilateral to each other. But the right eye and the left eye are contralateral. Now, the top part of your body is called superior and the bottom is called inferior. That's why the transverse cut, when we cut transversely, we kind of separate the top superior from the back inferior part. Now, the word proximal and distal, we need to understand, is going to be referring to the limb, to the arms or the legs. If you compare two different parts on the same arm or on the same leg, you would say, for example, on this right arm, the wrist is distal to the elbow and the elbow is proximal to the wrist. It means that the wrist is distal, it's a distance away, it's a long way from the trunk of the body compared to the elbow, and the elbow is proximal. So we have superior, inferior. Now, the middle and lateral, we say the nose is medial to the ear and the ear is lateral to the nose. Now, let's learn the 50 terms we need to know before we come to class the first day. The whole head region is called cephalic region. It is divided into two parts. The facial region, and the skull, cranial. Then the nose is nasal. The eye is ocular, orbital, or optic. The ear is otic. We have a lot of O's here. The cheek is buccal. Then the mouth is oral. The chin is mental. Think about you think mentally, right? The neck is cervical. That's going to be the neck in general. But the back of the neck is called nuchal. Then when we come to the chest is thoracic. The breast, mammary. The abdomen, abdominal. The navel, umbilical. All this is the trunk. Then when you come to the arm, the shoulder will be acromial. The armpit, axillary. The arm, brachial. The front of the elbow, antecubital. Now, the forearm will be antebrachial, brachial, antebrachial, and antecubital. Some people call it cubital. Then I come inferiorly, look at the antebrachial here. The wrist is carpal, right? The palm of the hand is palmar. The thumb is pollex, and the digits are digital phalangeal. The bottom part of the abdomen is called the pelvic. The growing area is called inguinal. The pubic area is called pubic. Then the thigh is femoral. The kneecap is patellar. And we'll see that the back of the knee is popliteal. So patellar, popliteal, both of them are P's. Then the front of the leg is crural. The way to remember, like somebody hitting you, is cruel to hit you there. When you play soccer, it's kind of hard. It hurts a lot. And then the ankle is tarsal. The digits are digital or phalangeal. And the big toe is hallux. Remember, the thumb is pollex. The big toe is hallux. And the foot is pedal. Remember, the hand is the manual, pedal of the car, right? When we look at the back, you see the nuchal is the back of the neck. Of course, the head is still the cervical. The back of the neck, the skull is cranial, and the face is facial. The neck is cervical. The shoulder is acromial. The whole back is dorsal. But the shoulder blade area is called scapular. Between the two shoulder blades is called interscapular. Scapular, interscapular. And the back of the elbow is called olecranal. Like olecranal. And the front is called what? Antecubital. Then I'm coming lower now. The lower back is called lumbar. The buttocks is called gluteal. The thigh, remember that? Femoral. The back of the knee, popliteal. The front, patellar. The back of the leg is sural, and the front is crural. And the back of the heel, like the heel of the foot, is calcaneal, and the sole of the foot is plantar. Remember, the palm is palmar and plantar. Now let's look at this quick. The frontal, orbital, or ocular, or optic. We need to practice this. Nasal, oral, mental, cervical, buccal, auricular, or acoustic, or auditory, temporal, and occipital, the back. The forebody cavity, the cranial part has cranial cavity. The thoracic cavity. The abdominal cavity. The pelvic cavity. See, easy. Now, the abdominal pelvic cavity is two cavities together, has four abdominal pelvic quadrants. Remember, quarter, dollar divided by 4, quadrant. We have the right upper quadrant. Remember, the subject to right is on your left, right? The right lower quadrant, because at the bottom, the left upper quadrant, and the left lower quadrant. Now, the same abdominal pelvic region is divided into 9 subregions. We call them 9 regions. Why? Because we have a lot of organs here. We have to be very specific about it. Now, the umbilical region is in the middle with the navel. We know the umbilical already. The region on top, now the way you divide it first, remember you go slightly from the umbilical and right and left laterally on both sides, right? And then you cut it to, and then you kind of divide equally, basically, from your hip here to your chondroc, the last cartilage, the last rib. You see here, the 10th rib, below the 10th rib. You got the top here, the umbilical region, the above the umbilical, superior to umbilical, you have the epigastric. Inferior to umbilical, we have hypogastric. Then from the umbilical, you go laterally, you have a right lumbar and left lumbar. Then you go superior to the umbilical, to the epigastric. Laterally, you have hypochondriac, right hypochondriac, and left hypochondrial. Then when you come inferiorly from the lumbar, you have the right inguinal and the left inguinal. So now if you watch this video, just make sure you practice and practice many times. Come the first day of class ready, okay? Know this. Thank you very much for watching Anatomy and Physiology 1, and come ready knowing these 50 terms. All right, I'll see you in class. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.